lifeblood of this community.
Oh. Hey, welcome back to Switchcast. This is Season 4, Episode 1. Darn right, we took a couple weeks. We have sound effects now. We're really moving up in the world. Oh, man, we've had so much fun here. And we took a couple weeks hiatus after finishing off Season 3 on our 2-year mark. But yes, that was, we weren't going away for good. To the disappointment of a few.
Do we know who they are?
No, we don't.
Please raise your hands in the comments.
They went away a long time ago. So, no, we really appreciate you being here, being our loyal listeners, and interacting with us. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Yes, all that to say, throw your questions in if you have them. Once again, we exist to, well, we've got a new tagline for Switchcast this year. We are searching for the truth and humor in the car industry. And that is what we're doing. And some of it is exposing scams. Some of it is navigating through how to buy and sell cars properly and everything in between. So I'm your host, Doug Tabbitt. We're here with Tyler Sanders, the official supplier of banter, and Ethan Huffnagel, our producer.
I need to get some business cards with that on it, like really nice embossed, like official provider of banter.
Banter supply.
Is I.
The official banterer.
Banterer. Yeah.
Banterer? I hardly know her.
Hit that drum.
I think it's too early for that.
No, never.
No, it's not. Never too early. If you don't know why the Pine Cones are here on set, well, go watch Season 3. But if you have questions, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching live, throw them in the comment flow, and we will do our best to get to them throughout the show. But the best way is to submit them on switchcast.live, and that puts them right in our inbox, and then we'll sift through them and get the good ones. We've got a couple questions this week from switchcast.live, and you can also catch up on old episodes there and find out where you can download the audio podcast, so you can listen to it on the road or in the train, maybe. I think Chris listens to us on the train, like Green Eggs and Ham. I could not listen in the train. I could not in the rain.
There you go.
But you should.
That ended up better than I thought it was going to.
Could not on a boat.
Yeah, all right.
We're better than Green Eggs and Ham.
Yes. Hard to
Far
believe.
better.
Hard to believe.
Anyway, we are. I want to follow up on a couple things from last season. We are making a difference in the car world, right? People are listening to our podcast and making changes for the better. I know this may be hard to believe for some, but Tyler's wondering where I'm going with this.
What is this?
Oh, all right.
No. So last season, somebody submitted a Facebook Marketplace ad or Craigslist or something, and we have a lot of fun picking apart descriptions that are scammy or scummy or whatever, just humorous, lacking in truth. And it was a Dodge Caravan for like $12,000 that had only been driven to and from doctor's appointments.
Oh, with a trailer hitch, because they
With
had
the
to
trailer
trailer
hitch.
something to the
Stained carpets.
So,
Yeah.
so not a few days later, everything that we had picked apart on this listing was changed or redacted.
What?
They lowered the price because we said the price was insane. They said open to all offers. They removed the part about doctor's appointments and the trailer hitch. They said super clean interior. They removed the part about the stains.
Well, I don't like that one.
No, the photos of the stains were still on there, though.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah, literally everything we called out in their description, they updated. So I don't know. I'm taking credit for that one.
You know what? That's whoever's out there listening. I can't believe. Like, I want to know the chain of like how many degrees of people did it have to go through for them to like listen to what
to
we
get
said.
to some old person selling
Yeah.
a caravan that's
They weren't on TikTok. I
No.
don't think. Not a chance.
Hey, Mabel, you're not going to believe this.
Oh God.
what are these young whippersnappers yammering on about? My caravan is nice. Hand me my glasses.
My goodness.
It's our mark.
I get regular checkups. I'm not unhealthy.
Just have a lot of them.
Regular.
I do like how Mabel is where you went with that.
I just thought like the first, like the quintessential, like old person's name.
Are Mabel and Hank related? Is
might
Mabel
be.
Hank's wife?
Would Hank let his wife post that though? You know?
Oh, absolutely not.
I don't know. It was in all caps, so he might have written it for her. Hank, by the way, for those of you who are new, is the Corvette curmudgeon, but
See him later.
Got to get that lore.
yes, they did not fix the all caps, though. The ad is still in all caps.
They're still yelling about it being
See?
a great car.
Classic Mabel.
Super
right
clean interior. No pets, no smoking. Well, now they're getting all, telling us what to do. Getting all
Yeah,
moral.
if I go up to Mabel
all
and say
moral.
I have a cat, is she going to kick me out?
I don't know. Apparently, not allowed to smoke either.
Well, that's not a... Well, in Ohio, that might be a... Never mind. We're not going to go down that road.
Will be a great van for someone. Let's give this a good home. Literally like a new one.
Wow.
That one stayed the same. That was
You
in
know,
the
we could
original
workshop
list.
this a little bit more, Mabel. Hit us up.
Yeah, we'll set you right.
Have you sold it yet? I doubt it. Oh man. The last season we did our best to cover pitfalls of buying and selling cars, shipping cars, how to avoid scams, how not to get scammed by a dealer, by a trucker, by a scammer, by anything in between. Basically trying to navigate through car ownership without having massive regrets. Because it's very easy to have massive regrets. We're your lighthouse in the sea of car ownership, and them seas are rocky. It's getting real cheesy here, real quick. But I don't mean to depress anyone out there, but I have to say that I'm sorry. There is pretty much nothing we can do, because there's a couple stories and examples from this week that basically just say you are all SOL. And buying a car and shipping a car is a risk, and some of you might get screwed no matter what you do. The first story is from the trucking side of things. Now, would love for you to go back and listen to the shipping episode, but I'll just recap some of the tips for you. Don't use brokers. Don't use open transporters. Verify insurance on truckers. Verify feedback if you can. Call references. Check out their equipment. By that, I mean their truck and trailer. I don't know what you were thinking, but all of that, however, is no good, because one of our preferred carriers, that's right, we had used them before, and they were on our list of like, these are good guys, we should call them first. A company called Wheels to Wheels. Steve Long, I believe it is. And all of this is secondhand information, so lawyers don't get all your panties in a bunch here. These are things we heard, so everything is alleged. I'm not stating these things as fact, other than this was the company and we know something happened. But they were making a delivery a couple weeks ago at a local exotic car dealership, and the cops showed up, blocked the truck in, and repoed it.
The truck?
The truck.
Whoa.
The trailer, I guess, stayed there, which was good because there was people's cars in it. But apparently, so that actually happened, and that was the company. I guess there was a repo guy, like, sitting, it's kind of like the bail bondsman, right? They're always out, like, looking for, people, hot tips, and, see if they can get a payday. It's like you see those cars driving down the road. You see them with, like, the plate readers all over their cars. So they'll get a commission if they spot a car that's up for repo.
I want this to come up on one of those TLC shows about, like, what is it, like Big Dog Bounty Hunter or something is one of the names? It's like, yeah, I got a truck.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's take this guy down.
Automotive bounty hunters. Yeah. I should put that on the Diablo, put all the plate readers all around it. People are like, what?
How do you think I can afford this?
Those $50 spiffs.
Look, they add up.
Why are you driving a Lamborghini around East Cleveland? I'm looking for Altimas, man. Looking for Altimas.
You'll get it.
and Malibus and Chargers and anyway. Oh man. So the truck gets repoed, and apparently he was bouncing checks left and right, which is why the cops got involved. Because technically, as far as I know, a repo is not like a legal thing. It's not a theft. It's not something that cops care about, right? It's a civil action between the bank and the person who hasn't paid. It's not criminal. So, but I guess because he had been bouncing checks, there was a lot of people looking for him, and apparently, according to what I heard, he had taken a loan out on the truck from like a private investor and literally only made the first payment. So I was talking to Ed Bullion about this. He's like, well, that's one way to keep the overhead low. Like, yep. So anyway, sorry to say, it doesn't matter what you do. Even good guys can go under. And I won't name names because a couple friends of mine got burned pretty badly. One was the person who committed the fraud, and the other one got taken for almost everything. But a West Coast high-end car dealer went under fairly recently and took millions of dollars worth of investors' money. And it's somebody I've had a relationship with for over a decade. So they were, in my mind, trustworthy. So guys, gals, be careful out there. Be really, really careful. Do your due diligence, protect yourself, have good insurance, because things can go wrong. And we'll continue to try to, develop and help you out with ways to avoid getting screwed. But I think it's really important right now to be extra careful because the market is softening. There's a lot of people who are overextended on their loans for their inventory, for their personal cars. And I think we're going to see a little bit of a fleshing out of, well, as Warren Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you'll see who is skinny dipping. The only problem is they, take people down with them. So watch out for that undertow. Be careful.
Alrighty, and Switchcast is brought to you by Boxcast. Boxcast is a live streaming company based in Cleveland, Ohio. They serve broadcasters and viewers around the world. Their founders launched Boxcast back in 2013 with one purpose, and that is to make people a part of the experience. If you're looking to live stream your podcast, church service, car show, a sporting event, a wedding, or even your cannonball attempt, Boxcast is an easy and flexible live streaming platform for organizations. Boxcast is so easy that we're broadcasting this show with a phone. So head on over to switchcars.com/boxcast for your free trial. All right, Hank, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good, Mr. Tyler. How are you doing?
I am doing great. It has been a few weeks. You've been enjoying your time off a little bit? Getting to bed a little earlier, I guess?
Yes, well, this daylight savings time is a real son of a gun, Gets dark right about the time that I'm having dinner, and I don't like that.
No, it's very confusing. Do you wish that we would stop doing daylight savings time? Like stop changing the clocks?
Well, it is kind of a pain to get up and change all of them every year all the time and stuff, and then,
And you wake up in a daze because you just...
I still haven't figured out how to get my flip phone to change the settings, so I'm an hour off 6 months out of the year, so that would be nice.
Love rough. It. So I imagine, things are getting a bit colder here in Ohio. I'm imagining the Corvette has been put away for the year.
Well, the Corvette's put away all year. It just comes out every now and then for a car show.
Okay, I think my question might still be valid. How do you store your Corvette for the winter months?
Same way I store it in the summer months. In my garage.
But you don't do anything
clean
different. Okay.
And under a cover.
Battery tender.
A Corvette branded one of them silk fitted covers. Nice cover.
Is it, do you have it on, do you overinflate the tires so they don't get flat spots? Do you have little ramp thingies to put them on?
No, I don't put them on ramps. That would wear out the clutch putting them up and down on that thing.
Oh, not the ramps for changing oil, but you can put things below your tires that help them stay round.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're original tires on that because I don't drive it that much, so I'm not too worried about that. They're pretty good. They still got full tread on them.
Oh, okay. Are they cracking at all? Maybe that you might see.
I don't know. They got full tread on them. They're good. They got full tread.
You might want to take a look in the spring, in between the tread, to make sure things are all right. But
You trying to get me to spend money I don't need?
No, I just want you to be safe, Hank. That's all. When you take it out to a car
I am
show,
safe.
well,
I drive the speed limit, and I only drive it in dry climate. I ain't driving in the rain trying to go on the highway or go 80 miles an hour.
I do respect that.
That's safe.
Good man.
Do you put stable in your gas tank?
Heck no.
No,
I ain't
all right.
putting some funky chemicals in my car.
I mean, gas is a chemical. Fuel is a.
That stuff smells like the friggin' the stuff that comes out of them kids' vapes anyway. That cherry sweet
It kind of
yuckiness.
does. Not wrong. You are not wrong.
Gross.
Well, I was hoping that maybe we could give some folks tips on how to store their special cars for the winter, but it seems like you're telling them they should just keep it inside all year.
Yep. Yeah. Don't let it get dirty for sure, and then you won't have to clean it. And yeah. Don't let the kids or the wife around it. Don't have pets. That's a good way to keep your car good stored. Just don't have pets because they might get up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Set some mouse traps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good call. That
Yep.
is, yeah. Do you believe in starting it up in the wintertime to get the fluids moving, or do you wait until you're ready to drive it to start it?
Oh yes, no, it's good to start it up every month or so and warm it up. Yep.
For legal reasons, that's not advice. Anyway, well, I think
What's this legal disclaimer crap?
Some folks on the internet don't necessarily think that's a good idea. If you're not going to drive the car, just let it sit rather than circulating stuff around unnecessarily. It doesn't get properly warm that way.
Oh.
You don't use all the components in a good fashion. I think Hank might fight me.
Amen.
This is not good.
Hey, this guy on TikTok says you should start and run the AC too. You doing that?
Oh yeah, you don't want to get them AC compressor seals worn out. But I also don't ever really need the AC because I don't ever drive it when it's above about 75, 80 degrees, and if it's too much humidity, I'm not going to drive it either. So I don't need it to work that well. But yes, it's a good thing. If you know anything about anything, you should get all your seals and rubber and everything in your car and your fluids up to temperature. Make sure they last a long time. But these young kids wouldn't know anything about that. They're just concerned about the friggin' environment.
So if you don't drive your car when it's above 70, you said outside, right?
Maybe 75, 80.
Okay, 75,
depends
80.
on the humidity.
So what's your low temp? Like, what do you when it's
about 60.
Okay, all right. You know what? I respect that. I don't agree with it, but I respect it. I just want you to enjoy your car, Hank. That's all.
I enjoy it very much.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for coming in again, Hank. We're looking forward to hanging out with you more this season. Hopefully we don't keep you up too late in these dark winter months.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to have a hard time seeing on the way home. My night vision's going, but I'll just drive slower.
Yeah, just be safe out there. All right, thank you very much. That was the Corvette Curmudgeon, everyone, brought to you unwittingly by the Corvette Buy Sell Trade Group on Facebook. That is your source for cranky boomers, overpriced Corvettes, and reinforced stereotypes.
Speaking of Corvettes.
Welcome back, Doug.
Speaking of Corvettes. I'll get to that next. Dan Doucette, our resident obscure knowledge about everything expert here. I think we need like a Dan Doucette nerd segment or something like that. Just to,
yeah, there we go.
New segment.
Right. Overwhelm you with semi-useful knowledge. But he sent me a build sheet on an Aston Martin DB9 this week. And, okay, I'm going to go on a side rant and then get back to this, right? We think Corvette people are bad because they're like, oh, my car is a one of one because of this particular option set. So Aston Martin corporate is now issuing like these certificates that are just called one of. And you see them at car shows in the windows, and it's just one of, because of their spec, this is one of one, this is one of one, which to me is patently asinine on an Aston Martin because they're all friggin' one of one.
Yeah, unless it's like silver over black, like a just normal thing, it's going to be special. I've talked with Dan about the different colors you can get from like colors from other manufacturers. There's like a whack load of greens, but there's all a bunch of one-offs because it's some random Porsche color or
they're
random
British
Lamborghini
cars, right?
Yeah.
Like Rolls Royces, Aston Martins, that's where the term bespoke came from, is people specking out like upper leather and lower leather and whatever. Like, yes, they're all one of one. So I think it's just dumb for Aston Martin people to have the one of things on their windshield. Like, I have an Aston Martin. It's probably one of very, very few because it's a friggin' manual. I'm not ordering that thing. I don't care.
But do you know what it is? Do you know what you're one of? Or did I not tell you until it like comes in the mail?
I have no idea.
How much does it cost?
Are you saying I should do this just as an experiment?
I just kind of want to know.
The podcast does not have the budget for us to just randomly spend money on curious research projects.
We can take it out of Ethan's pay.
Think of there you go. Think of the potential TikTok content that we could get from a 1-of-1 DB9 certificate from.
I could just make it up though.
That'd be better. There you
I
go.
could just
I want to
make
know
it
the
up.
real number though.
Well, we'd have to figure out how to tie it into like Corvette, making fun of Corvette.
We got to bring it back to Corvette owners somehow.
Yes. I got rich and I bought this fancy Aston Martin, but it wasn't good enough. It had to be rare, so I ordered my one of Aston Martin certificate. I can't believe they charged me $273 for this.
Don't spoil the content, Doug.
Workshopping. Make a note of that, producer Ethan. Let's get this ordered. Or Tyler, it was your idea. Okay, back to what I was going for. The Corvette curmudgeon would be proud. I think Dan Doucette found an Aston Martin DB9 that was special ordered in GM light carmine red.
Oh, do you have to have it, Doug?
Well, it's an automatic, so I don't.
You can fix that.
But I just loved how it wasn't just like light carmine red, but specifically like General Motors light carmine red.
That's great.
Were you like giddy when you saw that a DB9 was painted in this color, regardless of the transmission? Like
I was
somebody
pretty
did this.
excited.
Like someone paid the extra money to do this.
I feel like their money was not well spent. I would have paid more for them to name it something different, because it's like, hey man, what color is that Aston Martin? Chevy red. Chevy red.
You got to say it like that every time, too.
I like that. My Corvette's best Corvette because it has a V12. It's an Aston Martin.
Chevy
red.
anyway.
Doggone it. I like that.
Thank you, Dan.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, that's amazing.
All right, let's talk about the car market. We're gonna talk about Diablos quite a bit tonight, but Bring a Trailer is fantastic for evaluating and keeping tabs on the car market because they have customer loyalty, right? There's other websites that are a more total picture of what's going on in the car market, but with Bring a Trailer, you can see what a car sold for the last time it was listed, and then what it sells for this time, because they put a link right in the auction description. Hey, this car was listed here before. Here's what it sold for. So when you have a crazy moving market like we have in the last 3 years, it gives a real good picture of what's going on. And I track what's going on with Diablos because I own one, and I'm just kind of always keeping my finger on the market. And there was a awesome white 91 Diablo that sold there a couple months ago. And I've been seeing a fair amount of this lately where we're seeing relists because the winning bidder fails to follow through on the auction, on their commitment to buy. And this was the case here. And the winning bidder on that 91 Diablo had about 30,000 miles, bid $335,000 for a first-year Diablo. Now, that was, I think, a high water mark for any early Diablo that had sold. It sold for more than Mario Andretti's red Diablo. The white certainly maybe brought a premium, but there are some odd things going on in the bidding where I think that the bidding jumped massively to 330 and then 335 and then done. Like it jumped by like 100K. So it was very suspect, especially when all of a sudden the bidder doesn't come through. So it was relisted. It had a singular bid of $250,000 and it sold for $250,000. So we went from 335 to 250. The odd thing was, at least in my mind, other than 250 being the only bid, was that the bidder who bid 250 after they bid said this is at least a $300K car. Which is terrible, shrewd negotiation. You would want to say like, oh, these are overvalued, this thing's a turd, and then bid. But you bid and then go, oh, these things are way undervalued. This thing's worth way more than my current bid. Like somebody's either second guessing or they're shill bidding or something.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of odd things around this particular auction. Maybe it was a real bidder and he was just having bidder's remorse as soon as he clicked the button. But there's some sketchy stuff around this. There is a point to this. And I'll get to it if you can't see it already. There's also an Amethyst 964 Turbo 3.6, which is a 1-year only car produced in 1994. Quite rare and very desirable. It is the last year of the rear-wheel drive turbos before they went to the all-wheel drive in the 993, but it's also the first year of the 3.6 turbo. So it's the only 3.6 turbo in a 964 and the only rear-wheel drive 3.6 turbo car, other than like a GT car, 993 GT or whatever. So it's highly desirable. It sold in 2021 for $400,000.
Okay.
Or it sold again in 2022 for $401,000.
Okay.
Ironically, 401k. People say cars are investments. This sold for 401k. It is now up for sale again. No big deal. People bought it, sold it, whatever. However, every single one of those transactions, buying and selling, were all dealers.
Oh, really?
All dealers. Not a single end user has purchased or sold this car in the last 3 auctions.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So, Mr. John Sabo and I were discussing the market recently, and he had a good... I mean, we've said this in a number of ways, but he had a good laconic way of saying it. It basically was that buyers are only buyers right now if they think that the next guy will pay more. And he was talking about it with watches as well, right? Like guys are buying Rolexes for 25 because they think somebody else will pay 30. And once that trend stops, all of a sudden the guys buying at 25 are no longer buyers because they're not actual watch collectors. They're just opportunists, speculators. And I think we're starting to see a lot of that in the car market right now, because what typically immediately precedes a falling off of the market is when dealers are buying up, horse trading, and they go dealer to dealer to dealer, everyone thinking that the next guy will pay more. And there are some end users, some collectors within that, within those transactions, but a lot of them are dealers either propping up the market or just saying, well, market's going up, somebody else will pay more. And in this 964 Turbo example, like there's not a single retail transaction above 400 for this car. Not one. So what's the real value in this car? If we take out all the people that are saying, well, it's going to go up in value, if people are only buying it at 400 because they think somebody's going to pay 450, if you eliminate all those people from the car market, what happens?
People like us get to buy cars again?
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful thing for the enthusiasts if it happens. I don't think it's going to have a big crash because I think there's too much money out there that's cash tied up in these cars. But I don't know. A lot of it may be fake as well, right? I mean, there's people who are highly leveraged and they're going under, and it may be a slower cycle, but I think that we're going to start seeing some cleansing within the market, and some of the guys that are highly leveraged are going to get out. Some of the speculators that are only in this for the game, for the profit, are going to get out, and I think enthusiasts will have a little bit more of a chance to buy cars again. I would like to see
Heck
that
yeah.
happen. I would like to see it happen.
Let's have 993 prices go down.
I mean, they have a little bit,
They have.
but another 20% wouldn't. Yeah, that
Be all
wouldn't
right
be
with that.
terrible.
No, I'd be okay with that.
I mean, I don't want the cars I own to go down in value, but at the same time, I want the market to be normalcy, right? I want to be pure in my own purchases of cars. I want to buy a car because I love it, and in theory, it should cost me money. And I would like for other people to do that as well. But
Which
you know.
I feel like we evangelize that a lot on this podcast because it's the right way to do things. We're not immune from it, though. Like, I've noticed as my cars have cooled in value and I've driven them and put a ton of miles on them, I'm like, ooh, that kind of sucks if I want to, like... It's when I start thinking about trading up that I'm like, that mindset kind of poisons you with this has to be worth something, I've noticed, which is... And then I just go out and drive it and enjoy it, and then I'm reminded as to why that doesn't actually matter because, like, I've got to enjoy the thing that I do own. It's a very interesting thing.
So we got a tip from Josh Basante. He said he either passed a white Countach or the guy with the kit that we've been trolling.
It's probably the
In Twinsburg, Ohio, it's probably
in the
kit.
middle of November.
I'm a little disappointed that Josh couldn't tell the difference, but
It's
although
dark outside.
It is night.
His night vision is going bad along with Hank's. It's all good.
Gosh, no.
Oh, well.
Alrighty. Switchcast is also brought to you by Celebrity Machines. Celebrity Machines offers more than 250 different screen-accurate license plates as they've appeared in movies and TV shows, such as Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, The Fast and the Furious, Breaking Bad, and so many more. Celebrity Machines also makes our dealer insert plates, as well as our commemorative 2539 plates from the fastest cannonball run ever. Visit celebritymachines.com for more info and use promo code SWITCHCAST to save 25.39% at checkout.
We have one of our subscribers on TikTok, Jake M, asked us a question, and this is we have gotten into this, and we could continue to get into it for a whole episode, but just a very, very high level
Is this
answer.
EV?
Yeah, well, actually, Mr. Bojangles asked an EV question, but we'll come back to some of these. But Jake M, the subscriber, asks, do you think Carvana will actually finally keel over and die? High level answer here. Where are we at with that?
Yeah, so their stock is 33 as of today. So if you invested at the beginning of the year, you would have made over 200% on your money.
Do you check that before every Switchcast episode just so you can whip it out
Just
if you
in
need
case.
it? I'm so ready.
I'm not going to take that as an insult.
Did not mean it as such. You just had that really ready. Like it was in the chamber. You were just waiting to...
I'm heavily researched on a few things that may or may not matter. So I think they already did, right? So last year they took a debt restructuring deal that was voluntary, but when you look into it, it was essentially a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They renegotiated with their lenders and kicked the can down the road. So I'm counting that as my own victory because it was a voluntary bankruptcy, even though it wasn't billed as a bankruptcy. Keel over and die is an interesting thing, right? So the Shift Automotive out in California, which was a mini Carvana, just totally like went defunct. There's a number of ways to go broke or go bankrupt without actually like shutting down operations. And Carvana is big enough that they probably won't shut down. Somebody will buy them out. They own Odessa Auctions. They have a pretty good brand name, although they're killing their reputation. I mean, I've read stories about them bouncing checks on people, which is not something you should do if you're a company of that size. You know, Wheels to Wheels Transportation can do it, but Carvana shouldn't be. So I still think that their fundamentals are bad. They've got too much debt to service to keep going. But they'll get more investors. Somebody will come in and buy them out. They'll figure something out. I don't think that we're going to wake up one day and just see them all shuttered. Like somebody will come in, they'll file a restructuring bankruptcy. Somebody will come in, buy their assets, and fix them.
Well, I think we mentioned that when the few times we've talked about the bailouts for the big automakers, is that GM wasn't going to just disappear. All their factories shuttered, abandoned. Like, that's not what that would have looked like if they were allowed to fail. Someone else would have come in. There would have been a restructuring. The equipment is there. The ability to produce stuff is there.
Correct.
But it would have looked different.
Correct.
So on that note, Jake adds, I'm just hoping for their inventory to flood the market. What would need to happen for that to be the case?
I mean, they would have to file bankruptcy. A Chapter 11 bankruptcy could put their inventory on the market if a court order essentially says you have to dispose of all assets to pay off the creditors. That's highly unlikely. Yeah. I think there's very rare scenario that we're just going to see all of their inventory hit the market immediately. And if we do, it's likely going to go through a wholesale auction and their competitors are going to snap it up. So it's not going to have an immediate effect on the overall wholesale market. At least not a drastic effect. It's not like all of a sudden everybody will just be able to buy cars cheap, right? It's going to be a delayed effect. There will be other big players that'll snap it up either out of opportunity or to basically like dollar cost average, right? They want to protect their own stock of inventory, so they don't want the market to get flooded. I mean, there's enough cash out there that wants to protect its own cash that the market isn't necessarily going to do what it should do naturally. So, I don't know.
Alrighty. Well, how about we do Wall of Shame, Doug? How's that sound?
Yeah, go for it.
Alrighty. So this week for Wall of Shame, we've got a post on the Reddit, the subreddit Nissan Rogue, which I didn't know existed. I'm not surprised. There's a subreddit for everything, but this is incredibly specific. Titled 2023 Nissan Rogue Tires Are Bald. Dealer says, quote, tough luck. My friend bought her brand new...
I mean, it is a wear item, but keep going.
So the thread says, my friend bought her brand new 23 Nissan Rogue in March. The tires are now totally bald. When she took it to the dealer, he said there was nothing they could do, which sounds about right. You can't repair bald tires.
Well, not with that attitude.
All right, producer Ethan.
My Murano will be over here if you need me.
Yeah, you need to go to the Nissan Murano subreddit and chat on there.
It's all cross cab owners.
I don't belong.
So dealer says she needs to replace the tires at her cost, which is how that works. She is an Uber driver, and the car has 31,000 miles on it so far. Holy crap. Whoa.
That's pretty good.
That's nuts.
That's pretty good. 31,000 miles. I mean, Uber, yeah.
So the thread poster does acknowledge that there is mileage on it, but they're like, don't most tires last 5 years or 65,000 miles, which I'm not sure I've ever heard the 65,000 miles part.
Not OEM tire. I don't know any tires that last 60,000 miles, but definitely not OEM, what they put on there. But that's really hilarious. I mean, that just illustrates the mentality of people that think car dealers are responsible for everything.
Well, actually, bald tires on a car, this is continuing in the thread in that same vein. Bald tires on a car that was just bought 9 months ago seems like a defect.
But it's 31,000 miles is not 9 months. You could put, it's like me going and doing a cannonball and then be like, my oil is black. It must be defective. I bought it 3 days ago.
Yeah, why isn't everything perfect?
Right, because you put 4,000 hard miles on it, 150 miles an hour. Yeah, people.
So, people are insane.
So insane in the membrane. Transition here. Went out to a interesting car auction this week. It was in Pennsylvania, and it was a old car dealer / body shop. Over 45 Corvettes, 25 antique Schwinn bicycles, and then 2 Lamborghinis and 2 Ferraris. This place was full of Corvette curmudgeons. The mullets were plentiful. Lots and lots of New Balances. Cheap beer.
Did you get any photos? Do you sneak any candy?
I did. They're on the Instagram. There's a Corvette jean jacket mullet wearing guy that just It was perfect model. Anyway, this is a good example. You do not have to be a dealer to go here, right? But this is a very, very good example of why stuff is caveat emptor. There's nothing more caveat emptor than an auction like this. So I noticed this, and I know this. I'm going in there like, stuff is as is. I got to check it out, especially since, let's see, the Lamborghini Diablo was a rebuilt title. The Lamborghini Halpa was a rebuilt title. The Ferrari 328 was a rebuilt title. And the Ferrari 456 was branded title, not actual mileage. So we're starting off on the right foot here.
Perfection.
But, I had a friend maybe named Ed Bolian that got real excited about rebuilt title Lamborghini Diablo. So we go out there, check it out. It's sort of okay. It was photographed with the Speedline Murcielago wheels, but we got there and it had Asante wheels on it. The Speedline wheels were hidden behind a curtain. And the engine bay was like a spray painted silver.
Whoa.
Yeah, oh yeah, everything, the cylinder, not the cylinder heads, the valve covers and all the hardware, the intakes, everything. It was just silver. It's like, this is nice. 42,000 kilometers on it. It was okay. Like underneath it looked okay. It had the VIN etched on the glass and stuff. So like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't hit that hard, but it was a little bit rough. So this was no RM auction, we'll say, right? It was very low tech.
Were there not $26 deli sandwiches either?
No, there was not $26 deli sandwiches. Yes. So many more things I could say about this to paint a picture of the auction, but I'm not. Let's get to the nitty gritty here. The auctioneer goes up, and we verified beforehand that the Speedline wheels that were on the auction catalog, pictured on the car, were not included with the car. I'm like, okay, I'm glad we asked. But on the screen, it still showed it with those wheels, and therefore any online bidder was seeing it with those wheels. In the auction catalog that they handed out, it said 559 kilometers. It was also announced as 559 kilometers. So if you're bidding online, you think you're bidding on a 559 kilometer Diablo with Speedline wheels, but you're bidding on a 42,000 kilometer Diablo with Asante wheels. However, in their terms of service bidding, every item in this auction is available for bidder inspection prior to the auction ending, either during the scheduled preview session. By bidding, each bidder acknowledges and agrees that they have had a full and fair opportunity to inspect the item or lots and is relying solely on the bidder's personal inspection, whether in person, through proxy, or based on the provided photographs and opinion, in determining whether to bid and determining the amount to bid and or maximum bid, and in submitting the bid max bid. As is, where is. All items and lots are sold on an as-is, whereas, and with all fault spaces without exception. There's no warranty of any type expressed or implied as to the fitness or merchantability for any particular purpose of any goods offered in this auction. Blah, 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 blah.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sound like those old infomercials from like the mid 2000s.
Buyers understand that all lots and items are being offered as used and therefore have some level of wear and or damage and are by the very nature of being, quote, used and or pre-owned and or aged, quote, are at some level of defective. The auctioneer and seller expressly and specifically disclaim without limitation any warranty or merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. No sale shall be invalidated by reason of any defect or inaccuracy in any of the items or lots by reason of their being incorrectly described, orally or written, invoiced or cataloged, and no liability will be borne by the auctioneer's licensees, employees, and agents in respect to any such faults or errors.
Whoa.
Caveat emptor, ladies and gentlemen. We even told them, hey, before they started, we're like, no, it's the car's right there. It's 42,000 on the odometer, whatever. So I was a little salty because I'm like, if people knew that it was different mileage and the wheels weren't coming with it, maybe I would have won that particular auction item. But I think most people are smarter than that. Like, they did provide the VIN, run the friggin' VIN, do a Carfax. It's a rebuilt title. At that point, it doesn't matter what the mileage is. It's a rebuilt title. 500 miles or 500,000 miles. It's
Kilometers.
A rebuilt title. Yes, details.
Sure.
Not details that the auction house would. But here's the thing. I don't mean to like smear this auction house, right? This is standard fare for auctions. RM, Gooding, all the big guys do this too. You have to read between the lines. You have to do your own homework. You have to know what you are bidding on, because 9 times out of 10, you cannot go back to the auction and say, I didn't know. You misdescribed it. Cool. Here's our disclaimer.
I like all that starts
Doesn't
with
matter what we said about the car.
by bidding, you agree with this.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. However, I did come home with a car from this auction.
Ooh.
Ooh,
All right.
do
Breaking
tell.
news.
Is that an
Yes.
air horn moment again? Should I? No. It's too late. Moments passed.
There was a Ferrari 456 GT there in not light carmine red, but Rubino Michelizzato, which is another
Whoa.
sweet burgundy color.
Decidedly
But
not Chevy.
Side
red.
note: hearing the
Chevy Red.
hearing the West Virginian auctioneers who are all wearing cowboy boots and cowboy hats try to pronounce anything related to the Italian cars was great.
Absolutely.
We got a Lamborghini Jalpa. Cool. They did get Valentino Balboni right, though. I was happy about that.
Ah,
The Jalpa was signed by Valentino Balboni.
Pretty good.
So, there is a Ferrari 456 GT there, and on the Carfax, it said 180,000 miles was the last mileage entry. 180,000 miles on a V12 Ferrari. But the odometer had a different story.
I'm assuming lower.
970,000 miles.
Ah, wow.
I don't know. What? It's almost a 1,000,000-mile Ferrari.
Doug Tabbitt's $1,000,000 Ferrari.
I
Everybody.
bought it.
Newman Wiki episode coming.
I bought it. Well, no, I was like, man, there's a YouTuber out there that really needs this.
Yeah, right.
Clickbait headline right here. I bought the highest mileage
on.
Ferrari in the world.
Is it here? When does it?
It'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So anyway, I bought
Does it run?
about a 1,000,000-mile Ferrari. Apparently it runs great.
Fantastic.
Guess you'll find out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, on that note, we have a question from Instagram about high mileage basket case cars. Because this is outside of my normal realm. I will disclose that, right? We like to buy clean, low mileage stuff that doesn't have crazy stories, but we have buyers that like a deal, and so we were there just looking for a deal and kind of for entertainment. It was very entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. So, but
Yeah, so this commenter says, Doug, do you think there's a market for basket case Ferrari or Lamborghini cars that makes sense? Where I'm going here, seems like there are no deals to be had where the car is for sale at a price point where someone could come in and repair or restore the car and still be on the better side of cost versus buying a nice quality car. I recently bought a 997 that needed work but was priced accordingly. After all the work was done, I was still able to enjoy the car for some time and make money in the end. Just seems like sellers believe that because it has the Ferrari badge, it should still be on par with higher quality examples. Thoughts?
it's a good question. I'm not going to answer the exact question that you asked, but I think it's still an answer. I've always advocated that you should not try to buy the cheapest car on the market because it'll end up not being the cheapest car on the market. There's a law of diminishing returns as you go down market, right? Like if you spend 60 grand on a ratty Porsche, you could buy the best one in the world for 80 and a mediocre one for 70. The 60K one, you'll probably end up spending 10 grand on it. You'll be in at 70 and it still won't be as good as the one you could have bought for 70. So in a general principle, I say never buy the cheapest car on the market because it's a reverse hockey stick, right? Like, buy in the middle of the market or at the top or whatever. That being said, I think that if your goal is just to buy a driver, kind of the way Ed Bullion does it, there's a way. I don't think there's a value proposition for buying them and restoring them. But if your plan is just to buy it and have fun with it and you just want to get in at a lower entry point, I think that it is possible that there is a value proposition there, but you have to be really, really careful because once you start getting into the lower end of the market, I think you get more into dealing with shady people who are covering things up, and you have to make sure that you're buying with enough cushion to make up for any possible risks that you take on by buying a car at the bottom of the market. I think the mistake people make is they're like, well, I'm saving 10 grand. And I'm like, no, you're just buying a $10,000 less car for $10,000 less. But you should buy it for $15K less because you're buying a car with a potential story that's going to be harder to sell and may need more invested in it. So in order to account for that hassle and risk, you have to buy it for even less to make sure you're ahead of the game. So yes, there is a value proposition in buying at the bottom of the market, but you have to buy lower than you think and don't expect to restore it. Because there's an old saying that I love, is the only people that make money off of restoring a car are the restoration shops.
Ain't that the truth?
Absolutely. Let's see. The Appraiser game we played last year.
Yes.
I ended up winning. Gotta remind you of that.
My taste buds can still feel the Malort.
Oh, yes. But we ended with one car that we both put a guess in on. And it was a 2001 Porsche 911 Turbo in Wimbledon green, paint to sample. Very cool color on P-Car Market. But the car was still in Italy. There was a lot of debate within the comment flow about the ease of getting the car into the United States, with the seller saying, oh, it's super easy. You just don't need even, just bring it in. You're fine. I'm paraphrasing, but the market, I think, spoke and as to the difficulty and or uncertainty of bringing a car in from overseas that's less than 25 years old, because it is not as simple as just putting it on a truck and bringing it over. First of all, the truck would go to the bottom of the ocean. You'd have to put it on a ship. But
Heyo.
Catching my own mistakes here before somebody else on the internet does. Maybe. But let's see. I guessed 45,000. I was super lowballing because I'm like, it's overseas. Nobody wants it. Tyler guessed 75 because he got all hot and bothered by the green.
Look, Doug, have you seen it? Just look at it.
Like Ed Bassmaster.
Would you just look at that? Just look at this.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now.
Just look at that.
God, you turned the heat on in here?
So is it still, nobody put in a bid after the auction? It was 55 grand was a high bid, correct?
The current offer is 60,000.
Oh, well, shoot. Now it's dead in between
How
what
about
you and
that?
I guessed.
Which happened like the same day as, or no, it happened a week after the auction ended. Somebody put in an offer for 60K.
Okay, well, I
So
thought
think
I
for,
won that one handily, but it literally split right down the middle.
Which is kind of, we accidentally picked the same car. It accidentally ended up in the middle. We couldn't plan that if we tried, I don't think. What I find is fascinating is the buy it now price on P-Car Market is 105.
What? And wait, that car had like 90,000 miles, right? Or 90,000 kilometers or something? It
Yeah.
wasn't low.
91,000 kilometers.
Right. So it's a cool color, but it's there's hardly a 996 Turbo out there right now that is a six-figure car. There were some at the peak of the market, but they certainly did not have 55,000 miles, and they weren't overseas.
Yeah, I think the seller, this is really riding on it being a one of one in this color. I don't think there's another 996 Turbo in Wimbledon green.
Gray.
No, it's black. The Peanut Gallery here asked the color of the interior. It is black. I mean, it's like very high optioned. It was a press car. This is like first year 996 Turbo situation. So it's like, it's really cool. 105 is steep.
That's insanity. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. Well, we have more, but we don't have more time. So with that, we're going to move on to the props and flops. And if you guys do have questions, we will have Tip Talk after the regular segment of our show. You can throw in those questions during the bonus round in just a few minutes. The props and flops are brought to you by Switch Cars.
Switch Cars is the enthusiast dealership where we buy, sell, consign, service, and store only cars that we like ourselves. So check out our handpicked inventory at switchcars.com. And our pick of the week from Switchcars inventory is...
It is
have
a
one?
Yes, I do. It's a 2000 BMW 323 Ci with just 13,500 miles. As a sport package, is black on tan, and it is a 5-speed manual transmission.
Yeah, buddy.
It is on Bring a Trailer right now at no reserve. True no reserve, no shill bidding here, no games. You won't see it relisted a week later like you see with no reserve eBay auctions. Yep, it's selling. By this time next week, that car will have sold, for better or for worse. So go check it out. We'll put the link in the description of the episode, right, Ethan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, our flop of the week. Texas Coffee and Cars, right? Because Cars and Coffee is trademarked.
I always forget that it is. It's so ridiculous.
That's so dumb.
Yeah,
bans
mad about it.
Mustangs, Chargers, and Camaros.
That's like half the attendance of any Cars and Coffee.
Due to their moronic behavior. This article is brought to us by The Drive. Although, I guess if you're a Mustang owner, it would be the Don't Drive. Can't drive to Cars and Coffee. I guess they've had
Coffee and
same
cars.
problem. Sorry. Coffee and Cars.
Demonetized here.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Cease and desist.
Producer Ethan, always looking out.
Due to idiot burnouts. The event claims the ban is temporary, but a lot of people aren't happy. Well, yeah, Mustang owners.
Are they talking? Is the burnouts the thing that they're doing, or the owners of the vehicles? Like, what are we?
Oh, yes. Both. Both. There's a whole rabbit trail I could go down about this, because Cars and Coffee, I think, has gotten a little bit out of hand across the country. Burnouts are cool, right? I've left a number of Cars and Coffee sideways, smoking tires, whatever. But I've done it in a controlled manner, and I haven't ever wrecked. Does that mean I should do it? I don't know. But I think the bigger problem is the nuisance and, the people wrecking. That's Mustang people.
They're not operating vehicles within their means.
But, to me, I look at this and go, oh, no, there's no Mustangs, Chargers, and what was the other thing? Camaros. At a Cars and Coffee, that's not what I'm going to see anyway. I feel like most Cars and Coffee now look like a dealership lot.
They do.
It's nothing special. But then the events, there was an event out in Texas somewhere, I don't know where it was, that the guy was asking people to leave, and they're getting all upset, like, oh, you're gatekeeping, you're a car snob, whatever, my car has every right to be here. I'm like, well, what's the happy medium, right?
Was it on this podcast where I said the world could use more gatekeeping, or is that somewhere else, and maybe I shouldn't go into that here?
That was in a conversation after the podcast.
That's
ended.
a hot take.
Oh, that was.
That's a hot take, Tyler.
Look, we're not going to get into it because I'm going to get canceled, or I'm going to get Doug canceled. I just feel like not everybody's
You might
special.
get Hank upset.
Well, I will use myself as an example. I love my green over gray 996. It is not special in a lot of Cars and Coffee contexts. I like to park in there, and then I shut the door and I walk and go talk to my friends. If somebody told me I wasn't allowed in the main lot with the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, I wouldn't be upset about it.
Man, tell
It is what
that
it
to
is.
every drip that ordered a DB9 special Aston Martin 101 certificate there. Good luck selling that.
Well, that's true, I guess. But I don't know. Everybody needs to stop taking themselves so seriously.
Participation awards and all that nonsense.
Love your Mustang. It
That's
doesn't
right.
have to be impressive to anybody else.
I'm with you.
That's a good take. We'll end that there. There is a larger discussion to be had there, but I don't know if it's valuable. That's good thought, Tyler. The prop of the week. This is via Breitbart and a tip from our listener, Coach Connie64. The quick thinking employees at an Akron, shout out local, yeah, Akron auto repair shop impressed the police department after they thwarted an alleged car thief's escape by forklifting the entire vehicle off the ground.
What? It's pretty good.
I watched a video of this. It was impressive.
It's pretty good.
I don't know how the guy didn't just drive around the forklift. Honestly, forklifts are not known for being particularly agile. But
How do you not like get away from that?
No,
Never
so
seen a
slow.
forklift operator? Come on
Oh
now.
man.
That is
Neither
amateur hour all the way.
neither
Holy
the forklifts
smokes.
nor the operators move quickly.
Good heavens. Yeah.
Union job. Oh,
My
man.
goodness.
Yeah, there's not much to be said about that other than it was freaking awesome.
It's pretty great.
Oh, the cops wish they were that good. Oh, man.
Can you imagine? The cops are going to get a forklift now, put a little like dome light on it, and paint it black and white.
Not gonna outrun them. They're like, no, I saw a video on the internet. It worked for that
This
guy.
works.
Yeah, I swear. Trust me, guys.
Just drop it off via drone.
They're going to have a problem with that rear steering, though. Oh, man.
Pretty good.
Better than spike strips. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us. We look forward to another new and exciting season with all of you. Thank you to Ethan Huffnagel, our producer, and Tyler Sanders, our banterer. Thank you to our sponsors, Boxcast, Nuts for Sticks, Switchcast, Celebrity Machines, Parallel Printworks, and Stephen Home Woodworking. Our bumper music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. This episode will be available next Monday in audio format wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out switchcast.live to get caught up on old episodes. And thank you for listening. We'll see you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. as we look forward to edifying, educating, and entertaining you on the drive of your life.
Hey, but if you're joining us live, stick around. We got a good few questions here. I don't know about the YouTubes.
I have a question from Facebook.
Holy smokes!
This is the first time this has ever
Knock
happened
me over with
live
a
on
feather.
the
Why don't
podcast.
you?
So
Second.
Lenny on Lenny on Facebook. Thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you, Lenny.
Related to the auction discussion that we had, Lenny wants to know, what do you think of auctions holding on to your sale money for 28 days after the auction? Is that a thing most auctions do? I'm a bit ignorant here.
Oh, the nuts.
Yeah, it was such baffling news. I dropped my
You threw your peanuts everywhere.
I was really a peanut gallery. I've not heard of that. That's news to me. Most of them will distribute titles fairly quickly. I mean, I wired money on Monday for the car I bought and picked it up today. So I've not heard of an auction holding for 28 days before they release the title.
Wow,
Maybe
yeah.
it's personal checks or something, but they make you jump through a lot of hoops, bank letter of guarantee, the whole shebang. And I think they tend to move pretty quickly. I mean, if you're not funded within a couple days, you're ixnayed. Like I got called today. No, I got called yesterday from the auction house on Saturday. Somebody had already bailed on the Lamborghini Jalpa, and they were trying to line up a secondary bidder. So, I mean, that was 2 business days. Yeah, I don't know if you want to fill me in more on what auction does the 28 days and why, but it's not something I've encountered yet.
Interesting. We've got a text comment too, more of just on, we finished up talking about the cars and coffee stuff. We're friends with the fellow that puts on Toledo Cars and Coffee, who is also considered on multiple occasions, apparently, of banning muscle cars for the same reasons. Just causes a bit of a headache, it seems. Which is not something, I mean, I know I said just a little bit ago the world needs more gatekeeping. It sucks that would be the only option. Because you don't want to necessarily ban people, but if it's causing issues for the organizers, potentially legally too, if somebody gets in an accident.
Yeah.
Like,
We got banned like modern BMW M cars then also.
yeah.
And anybody who shows up with a pop tune. Okay, so the question there will be, do you only ban like modern muscle cars? Because guys pulling in 60s Mustangs are not going to be leaving doing smoky burnouts and stuff. Right? It's a certain demographic of people that happen to coincide with a certain type of car. But I feel like, nobody in a pre-2000 domestic car is going to be shenaniganizing leaving Cars and Coffee.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Other than me.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I did a sweet drift leaving Cars and Coffee in my 66 Mustang one time. But
how'd you feel after that?
I mean, I just did it for me.
Do you feel like you pulled it off though? Like it was good.
It was not by my account. Other people said that was like the most legendary Cars and Coffee exit in history. Because nobody was expecting it. It wasn't like, it was at Porsche Beechwood. It wasn't a place that people were leaving like that.
How did you manage to
Here
leave
comes
there?
Early? And nobody, there wasn't crowds, there wasn't people with cameras. Like, it was kind of before that.
Yeah, right.
And everybody just like turns around because they hear it, because it's got side pipes and glass packs and all that. So it just sounds mental. And everybody turns around because they hear, "Roar!"
See?
And they all think I'm going to wreck. And I don't. And they're like, oh my goodness, what just happened? A Mustang didn't wreck. And that sounded awesome.
What more could you
So,
want?
I don't know.
Ethan, we've got 9:07 p.m. If you can clip that for our Switchcast soundboard at some point. Doug's Mustang noise.
That's good, yeah. Working on the soundboard. We've got a few potential sounds here. I did want to come back to this because I do believe we talked about this, and forgive me if I'm misremembering. TurboTax asked. This was a fellow that mentioned the Blue Ridge Rock Festival in Virginia a few times, and
Yep.
I vaguely I believe we discussed it. He asked if we discussed it. I couldn't remember if it was before or after, but from what I remember, because I know we discussed it at one point. Don't know if it
Sure.
was on the podcast. From what I remember, it was like some festival got canceled, and it was a whole debacle. Do you remember?
I do remember, and I did look into it because I promised that I would like talk about it. But everything I looked into, it just seemed like a lot of internal drama, right? So it was essentially canceled due to weather. And like, yes, there was kind of a mess there and whatever, but everything I read about it, I couldn't determine anything that was either conclusive or I don't know. I read a lot about it and came away just going, okay, so people were pissed at the organizers because it didn't happen. The organizers said that they did what they thought was right because of the weather, and you know, that was it. Like there's other festivals in the past, like what was it, the Fire Festival or whatever, that were far more, dare I say, exciting because the organizers just walked with everybody's money, and like, you know, people showed up and there's nothing there. There's nothing to show for it. It seems like this was just a poorly organized event and a lot of, I don't know, miss or bad communication. So
Right.
I thought it was interesting. I didn't think it was worthy of an extended discussion or something like that. And I couldn't really make heads or tails of really what the takeaway was from all of this. It was just kind of a crappy situation. So if there's something I'm missing, feel free to fill me in. But I couldn't come away with anything valuable in my opinion.
TikTok's been very active tonight. We appreciate every single one of you
So
here.
YouTube's been pretty active as well. I've seen a lot of our typical listeners
great.
here in the audience commenting. So hello, everybody.
We
It's
got
good to see
some
you.
new faces too. It's a good start. So seriously, thank you all for joining here. Jake M, our subscriber here, asks. We were kind of talking about ratty cars, auctions, things that maybe aren't what they seem. But he's talking about salvage titles here. How averse are you in general to salvage title cars?
I'm pretty adverse to them. So that's a twofold answer, I think. One is from a business perspective, I'm adverse to them because there's additional liability and it's just much more difficult to resell. They're more difficult to finance, not impossible, just more difficult. And it kind of tarnishes a reputation, right? Even if you're totally upfront about those cars, if you're known for selling rebuilt titles, then it's not a reputation I want to have. That being said, I know that there are a lot of cars that can get rebuilt titles for very minor damage or something that's not going to affect the car long term. And I think if you can get a really good deal on it, then there's a value play there. The problem is that for every one that was like, oh, it was super minor damage, but it was an expensive part or whatever, so they salvaged it out, there's 9 shady-ass dealers that are saying, oh, it was only rebuilt because of the front bumper damage. And there was one of the Ferraris at this auction, not the auction, but the previous seller a number of years ago said, oh, it was just light damage to the front bumper. And people are like, that doesn't salvage out a Ferrari. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to be crooks within that game, and that increases the risk and increases the danger. So usually I try to avoid them like the plague unless I have enough information.
Over here on the YouTubes, a consistent listener, Anthony Russo, says, Doug, what cool...
Sounds like an Italian restaurant.
Oh, it kind of does. Doug, what cool Porsche colors would look good on a Fox body Mustang? I want to be a pine cone at car shows and be able to tell people it's a PTS color.
What cool Porsche colors?
Yeah.
Brewster green.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Brewster
Yeah.
green. Also cobalt blue. Yeah.
Anthony Russo, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that one of the, it might not be the same guy, but isn't that one of the Russo brothers, like the directors who did like the Avengers? And
I'm not sure.
They're
there's
Cleveland
a
guys.
relation. I mean, they are, but...
I'm curious.
I'm sure he is one of the Russo brothers.
Well, yeah, judging by the name, I think you're safe in saying that.
Were your parents Catholic?
Here we go. Back on TikTok here. That was more of a question for Hank. We can get to that later.
We can...
I can fake Hank.
Well, this Sixth Sense just wants to
He's
know.
in bed, but
Oh, all right. Yeah, we'll come back to that later. Dewey Airsoft. Doug, I asked in the past about a commuter car for California. Opinion on the Scion TC.
whoa, throwback. Man, I always liked them. I don't know how they're holding up long term. I feel like I haven't seen one on the road in
They did kind of just disappear.
Well, but Scion kind of just disappeared.
Well, yeah,
too,
after they
as
did,
a
like,
company.
if anything, I've seen more XBs than TCs
Right.
for some reason.
So I actually sold when the TC and the XB were a thing. I was working at a Toyota dealer, so I was selling those at the time. I remember the XB rode like it was on friggin' rails. It was awful. It was a buckboard. But the TC I thought was a really good value car. Yeah, I would think Toyota build quality, fit and finish, longevity. I would assume that is still the case, and it's probably a great daily driver. It's like a sporty Corolla.
In that vein, Val Nikonov on YouTube, thoughts on the GR Corolla?
Why do we always say in that vein and not in that artery?
I don't know.
See, these are
Would
the
you prefer me to
questions.
start saying in that artery?
I don't know.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
But
Does that make you
I
uncomfortable?
personally wouldn't. It seems off.
Okay, continue. Don't let me throw you off.
No. What are your thoughts on the GR Corolla?
I haven't driven one, so I don't know. I think it's a lot of money with the markups and stuff that people are charging.
How much are they going for?
Aren't they like 10 or 15K over sticker?
We've got some at CarMax. We have like 5 in inventory. All are cores. It's the base one for 47 grand to 52 grand.
Okay, so the Peanut Gallery says 47 to 52 grand, and sticker is what, like 35?
Something like that.
Yeah.
38.
That's a lot of money for a... It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I don't know.
Ooh, boy.
I guess I'd have to drive one, but I can't see through to paying $50,000 for anything with a Corolla badge on it, regardless of... I mean, I get that you have the Focus RSs and the GR Corollas and all these cool all-wheel drive rally-inspired hot hatches, but for $50,000, I can buy a used dang Porsche 997.
Yeah, these are all like 40
I can
to
buy
50 grand.
a Corvette C5 and a Porsche 996 for $50,000. So forgive me if I can't get excited about a Toyota hatchback.
Back here over on TikTok, Mr. Bojangles says, He asks, will the electric car hype ever stop, or are we just at a point of no return?
The electric car hype is stopping. Oh, boy. And we're going to talk about that probably next week. I did not want to start this up this week because it's probably a half an episode. But sneak preview for the live viewers out here. Yeah. Manufacturers, especially a lot of U.S. manufacturers, are backpedaling on their promises and claims. Sales are down. They're up year over year, but they're down. That they're realizing the technology is not there. Honda essentially was basically like, yep, we're not going to produce an affordable EV because we don't see we can't make it profitable.
I thought they were going like everything was going to at least be like hybrid or EV. Like that was their plan like a year ago or whatever, by like 2026 or whatever
Yeah.
they said. Wow.
Seems the
That was a
math
lot
ain't
of manufacturers' plans.
Yeah.
But guess what? Math.
Funny how that works. isn't it?
Shareholders.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can be all green until you can't make any money at it. So, yeah, we'll cover that more. But happily for me, the EV craze is dying down a little bit. Although I spent some time in LA a few weekends ago, and oh my gosh, every third car was a Tesla. That's wow.
It's kind of weird when we all like see we live in our own bubble, because I see a lot of Teslas around here, but they're still like.
No, I think LA lives in its own bubble. We're not the
Also
bubble;
that.
they're the bubble.
That's true. That's true.
I drive all over the country a lot, and don't see that many Teslas. It was only in LA.
The Mystic wants to know about the Corvette.
Does he have a
boat.
Mystic Cobra?
I think we've asked that. Uncertain. But they ask Doug, how is the Corvette boat?
I don't know. Ask the guy I sold it to.
You sold that a couple of years ago.
That was a
didn't you?
Yes.
while back, wasn't it?
Yeah,
How was it when you had it? Was it everything you wanted it to be?
it was fun.
Would Hank have liked it?
Hank would have never put it in the water.
That's true.
Classic Hank.
He would have towed it behind his Chevrolet Silverado to Bowling Green, Kentucky for the Corvette show.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Fishing for Pickles says, is a number match stock RX-7 worth 50 grand?
What year? Like what generation?
I don't know. Name a gen and go.
I mean, yes, some of them are. The FD RX-7s are worth 60, 70, 80 grand depending on condition, mileage, originality. There's an RA1, RA2, whatever it is. Yeah. No, I've sold a couple of those for more than 60 grand. But yeah, depends on the generation, depends on the condition, mileage, yada yada yada. I've never heard numbers matching used to describe an RX-7.
Are we entering that period of time? I dislike it. Elon Musk is suspicious is back.
Hey.
Welcome. Has the 997 GT3 market been holding strong?
What is Elon Musk is suspicious of?
I'm not sure we want to answer that question.
Just generally cynical about the world.
I think so.
Okay, sorry, what was the question?
How is the 997 GT3 market, or has it been holding strong
Yes.
amidst all of the
Yeah, it's defied the market and gone the other way. They're still going up. In fact, according to two people who were selling their 997 GT3 RSs to me last week, while they weren't selling, they declined both offers. Both of them, quote unquote, only going up in value.
Ooh, classic.
Both of them, exact same words.
Does that just make you feel warm and fuzzy inside when you hear that again?
It drives me nuts.
Ooh, Devin Ruckus wants to know, what color is Hank's Silverado?
Silver.
So, the lore expands.
We
gotta note this down somewhere.
We're nearing what I envision.
I'm struggling with the continuity here.
Yeah, I know. We've already ran into some continuity errors.
Like one. Come on.
Look, and we've already said Hank is getting up there in age. He forgets some things.
No, it
sometimes.
tracks. But we need to
it's all
remember
right.
that too.
He said
that
his night
has a
vision
thing.
is going. You know.
See, all these things. I think we're nearing.
Hank fought in
Nearing
Vietnam
9:30
and
here.
World War II and
Yeah.
At least that's what he tells everybody at all the Corvette
The
meets.
fish was this big.
Yep. All
Um,
right, one more.
Stepdad Gary, what's
Gary, what's
your
up?
opinion?
He's not a real dad. He's a faux pas.
Joke never gets old. Said from a stepdad himself here. No. What's your opinions on the success or failure of the BMW and Mercedes sedans coming out?
I don't know if there will be a success or a failure. That's a very, very broad question. What
it
is my whether I think they will succeed or fail?
It might be that because so many sedans are failing or going away or whatever. It might be related to, do you think they'll keep going, or is this it?
Might be what direction do you think it's headed? BMW and Mercedes.
I think BMW will fail and Mercedes will succeed because BMWs are ugly and Mercedes are gorgeous.
There you go.
I don't know. I'm a big Mercedes fan in terms of their interior design and their quality and stuff in the last decade, and I feel like BMW's kind of gone the other direction, making some really, really ugly cars and some really, really unreliable cars. So, sedans in particular, I don't know, but yeah, my money's on Mercedes.
There you go.
So that was a non-answer, but whatever.
All right.
Yes, we're great at that here at Switchcast.